wanna be. No matter what comes our way, we'll be together.
Welcome to Homeschooling Down South. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kat. We're two Southern homeschooling mamas sharing real talk, resources, and inspiration for life and learning in the Southeast.
Each week, we'll chat with inspiring voices in the homeschool community, highlight must-see nature spots and field trip gems, and share resources from across the region.
Whether you're new to homeschooling or a seasoned pro, pull up a chair and join us as we celebrate the joy, freedom, and community of homeschooling down south.
We'll laugh together, we'll learn together, find the joys in life together, give each other grace and space to be.
Welcome back, y'all. Today, we are talking about the Creative Discovery Museum in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is such a fun place for our family, especially when it's cold outside, because it still gives us lots of hands-on activities and different environments. And they do offer homeschool classes. But today we're just talking about the experience of going there as a whole, because, the perks of being a homeschool family is we can do that in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week.
Yes. And we got to go do this together. You actually had been before and had the idea, I think, even maybe before the podcast, that we should just go up one day, our two families.
Yeah.
But it never happened until after we were doing the podcast. And so we got to go into it with our microphones in our back pockets and had a really cool day. It's a really great place.
Well, and it was lovely because it was very not crowded.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we went maybe right after schools had gone back in session in January.
Yeah.
And so in January, most people are done with their travels. It was a really sweet spot. Time to go. Did we go on a Tuesday?
We did. We went on a Tuesday. Yeah. And here is the beautiful thing about the Creative Discovery Museum. One, they offer military discounts. So my family was able to access that. But two, after the fact, we found out that they recognize homeschool moms, homeschool dads as teachers.
Yes.
And they give educators free admission. So if you are from Georgia, you have to file your declaration of intent every year. That has your name on it. It has your children's names on it. You take that piece of paper along with your driver's license and show that when you go to the museum, and you as the adult get in for free, which is huge.
Huge. And if you're a listener in Tennessee, there's an academy letter we think we understand. We'll learn more.
Yeah.
But you bring your proof. I think if you're an Alabama homeschooler, Carolina, like whatever your proof with your state Department of Education is, as long as it has your name on it, you can bring that and get in for free. So we pay and do the research so that you don't have to.
Exactly.
Now we know. Now we'll never pay again. Yeah. So that's pretty cool that they recognize homeschoolers as educators. Yeah. We super appreciate that.
Yeah. One of the things I like about being able to do it in the winter is when you first walk in, the first room that you enter is this long room with a giant water table in it. And I've said it before, my kids are water babies. And so being able to play in the water in the middle of January is a lot of fun. They have smocks that the kids can wear. You always, got to have them roll up them sleeves or not.
My kid did not wear the smock.
So, roll up the sleeves. But it's really cool because there's hydraulics and there's, all different kinds of things that they can experience while just feeling like they're playing in the water. There's a big, a bucket that when it fills up, it dumps the water out. It's a really cool way to kick off your time there.
Yes, very interactive. It's not just kick off your time there, because we spent quite a bit of time there at the beginning, but it was sort of like we're going to get to go back to that at the end, right? And it is on the way out. So we were there for a substantial amount of time at the beginning and a substantial amount of time at the end because all our kids wanted more time to play in the water. My kid ended up completely soaked.
He was so.
It's like, well, it's cold out there.
Yep.
Good luck.
But there's also a little boat replica, a little ship replica that they can go in, and there's the different corridors of the ship, and then they can climb up to the very top, and there's a whole jungle gym.
Yeah, it's like tunnels, but they're cube-shaped.
Yeah.
And like a kind of like a maze, but like
a
climbing up in the air maze up above this water play area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And you're very self-guided. There's no one rushing you to and from each station. You're not there in a 2-hour time slot. You just go in and have the experience that you desire,
Yeah,
which
for
is
as
lovely.
until your kids either are too hungry or have done all the things and are not
Yeah.
interested anymore. And, whichever of those things comes first is
Yeah.
how long you get to stay. Yeah, so we started there and then we moved in to, I know it's one of your son's favorite parts of the Creative Discovery Museum was sort of like a almost like geology room.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a whole sand pit, and there's built-in fossils in the sand pit, and they have all these brushes and chisels, and so there's little cubbies, you take your shoes off, and then you get in the sand pit, and, you're brushing off the fossils and seeing what all is under the sand, and then they have this table where there's a little square, and you build a structure on the square, a house, whatever. I think it was like Magna-Tiles or Lincoln Logs or
There was
Jenga blocks.
different kinds of materials. Yeah, Magna-Tiles
Yeah.
and Lincoln Logs, but there's also those like foam
Yes.
blocks
Yes.
and maybe another like fourth type of building material. Yeah.
And then you press a button and it's like an earthquake. And so you see how well your structure would hold up. It vibrates and it's really cool in general, but it's so fun for me. All of that is my son's wheelhouse for sure. And it's so fun for me watching him get so surprised, at the parts of his structure that stay together, at the parts of his structure that falls over. So and then they have a tunnel that you can walk through that replicates the movement. So you're standing on it and you feel the movement and the wind and stuff like that of what a volcano erupting might be like. It's like a little simulation there. It's just that room is one of our favorite places in the Creative Discovery Museum.
Yeah, it was really cool. I laughed really hard when we were in there because my son was not prepared for the fact that the fossils don't come out after you dig them, and so he was
Yes.
yanking on trying to get them up. So that was really comical for me. And then it was fun to do the earthquake table because I'm from a place where earthquakes happen, and we had actually been talking a little bit about that in our home. And then my son was building a building and your kids were building a building on the other side. And when my son did his, the roof fell off. And I was like, yep, that actually happens. And like your kids kind of had big saucer eyes at me, like, she knows. And I was like, not so much the roofs, but like lots of chimneys fall down. I just was like saying it super casually because I'm from California where
Yeah.
it happens. And it was interesting to see all three of our kids be like, wow. But to be able to say what's being replicated here is actually
Yeah.
accurate too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool. And then we had a whole conversation, all the kids. So you learned something and you build it better the next time. And that's what people have done in places where
Yep.
there's earthquakes is now they know how to build buildings better so that they won't fall down. It's real hands-on learning. It was really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. And outside of there was a little kind of play area like a mud kitchen,
Yeah.
which we didn't spend a lot of time because it was really cold that day.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, was it a little bit like soggy? Had it rained the day before or something?
Yeah, it was just kind of icky out. It was
Yeah.
overcast and, the perfect day for an indoor adventure. But then we came back in and kind of went separate ways because there's this lovely little area that my kids have unfortunately aged out of now, but we have been in it when they were younger. It's specifically for 5 and under. Wasn't that
Yes.
the age, 5 and under?
Yeah.
And it's enclosed, like you go in a door, and so, you can keep all the kids corralled. But they've got a little farm area and a wooden truck that they can get in. They have all kinds of cute things in that room.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to share what you guys did when you were in there.
Well, mostly there was a truck that you could like put all your farm vegetables into it, and my son wanted to drive the truck. That was like biggest thing. Of course, that's just where we're at right now,
Yep.
and probably forever. And also he was sort of like, confused about why his friends couldn't come in with him, and
Yeah.
but I told him let's do this because he's not going to be 5 for very
Yeah.
much longer. And I said probably the next time we come back here, you won't be able to come in here either for this
Yeah.
same reason. So we hung out in there a little bit, but it was mostly about the truck. But
Yeah.
it looked like just like a super great place, especially if you had like really little
Yeah.
toddling ones. The inside of the 5 and under space, there was another space that I think was for 2 and under,
Mm.
kind of closed off so that you could just let a toddling one toddle around in there, while as maybe like a 3 or 4-year-old play in some of the other space. But there was a tool area where he could play with hammers and stuff. And yeah, it was really neat. And y'all were across the way from us while we were in there, and we didn't make it there. What was that area?
Good. So we were across the way in their little medical facility, which is really cute because there's like a little check-in counter. And then you have, the examination table, and they have drawers filled with all kinds of toy medical equipment. And so my kiddos were listening to my heartbeat and checking in my ears. Obviously, we're not sticking thing in my ears because that's gross. But doing all the things. And she had her little clipboard and she was asking me questions. And there's like a little scale for babies, and there's a baby doll. So that it's a small area, but it's really cute because they have an x-ray, those panels that have the lights behind it that so
Yeah.
you can see x-rays, and they have actual x-rays up on there so you can look and identify where the broken bone is or, whatever's happening. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then there's a hallway right next to there where as you're walking down the hallway, I don't know where the cameras actually are, but there's these 2 long mirrored panels, and you can see yourself walking by, which is fun. So, and that back there is where a lot of their classrooms and stuff are. So there's
Yeah.
not really anything else back there.
Yeah. But after you walk in past the water, there was one of those electricity balls where you touch
Mhm.
it and it's like the lightning bolt goes to your finger. And
Yeah.
then there was I didn't go in it because I very can easily can have a migraine triggered, but
Oh, yeah.
there was a space where I think it was like, what are those things called?
I don't know, but it like spins around, and it's spinning around makes the horses move and the birds fly. And I wanna say it's like a stop motion. It's like a stop motion
Something
situation-esque,
like that.
something like that, and it spins, but it also has, like, a little bit of a strobe lighty effect,
Yes.
which messes with my brain as well. So the kids peeked in, and then we moved on. But for me, outside of the dinosaur area, the real bread and butter of the Creative Discovery Museum is upstairs.
Yeah.
And when you first come upstairs, they have this area where the kids can step up on a stool and control these robot cars. And the robot cars are encased, so you can't take them out, but you can use the controllers and like race them
Yeah.
around and bump them into other cars. And I think both of our boys in particular really liked that.
Yes. And the controller would be a certain color, and then there was a corresponding car of the same color inside. So that's how the kids would know which car they were controlling, because there was maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah, different ones.
Yeah. And so then, there's multiple kids operating cars at the same time. So how do you know which one is yours? Well, you have the blue handset, so yours is the blue
Right.
car. Yeah, that one was really cool. There's a bunch of stations like that up there that are
Yeah.
easy to just jump into and jump out of when you're
Yep.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, they have one where there's air shooting up through a tube, and you stick a grocery bag in the tube, and it blows the grocery bag up, and then it kind of parachutes down. And then there's the rocket launching area, which my son bolted to the second he was done with the robot cars, which he bypassed another really cool station, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the rocket area is set up like space, and they have, little planets hanging from the sky, and you have these rocket launchers, and you like aim your launcher and try to shoot your rocket into the planets and stuff. And it's so cool.
It's the same concept as the air rockets that you would get from outside in your yard that you would like
Yeah.
stomp your foot on and it pumps the air. So the rockets themselves are very similar to that, but instead there's a metal apparatus that you put the rocket piece on and then push a button to launch it instead. But like they could direct it to try to hit a planet or the moon. It's so cool. It's
Yeah.
really cool. And the plastic bag ended up being my son's favorite thing in the whole
Wow.
museum. It looks so simple, but when someone did it, I heard him, he goes, whoa. Like it was one of those like almost internal senses of awe. And when we got home and he was sharing with dad what he liked so much, that was his top thing, was watching the grocery bags
Wow.
launch. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I love
super
it.
cool.
And something you could replicate at home too, with like
Yes.
a leaf blower or a hair dryer or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. One of the things that my kid passed on his way to the Rockets was the race car lane. They had this big thing, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of the race car area at Lego Discovery Museum. But you build your car and then you launch it and you
Yeah.
see how fast or slow it goes. Does it stay on the track based on how you've built your car? So it was just another really, really good hands-on activity for them to feel like they're playing, but they're actually having to like use logic.
Yeah. And I think that the overarching theme of everything in that room would maybe be that they were all physics based.
Sure.
I think physics not my area of expertise.
Yeah, no.
But it was all things like mechanics or
Mhm.
how do things defy forces or go along with forces. I saw like a pendulum thing up there
Mm.
too that my son played with for just a little bit that I think was talking about like the different centrifugal and centripetal forces. And yeah, it was all really cool.
There were also classrooms there. And I know those did have, I think it was 7 and up, but they would hold different workshops that you could attend, and they, like, had the schedule right outside so you could see. We've never done any of those, but they always look really cool.
Yeah. And there was also a little station where you could animate on a computer.
Mhm.
Which none of our kids was into sitting down that long. I think part of it being there with friends makes it
Yeah.
like more, let's keep going. And there was another room that had different race car video game type things. Our kids kind of tried it, but there was like math involved.
Yeah.
If your
Mhm.
car needs to go this far and has this much gas. And I was like, ooh, this is over my son's head, but he wants to do it because it looks like a video game.
Right.
It looks like a like racing video game. So we stopped there for a second, but then realized it was higher level math
Yeah.
heavy. So we moved on to the outside upstairs.
Which is so cool. It's
So
so
cool.
cool. They have these seats that the kid sits in, and they can use a rope to pulley themselves up, and then they let go and they come down. I mean, it reminds me of the rides at an amusement park, but they're doing it themselves. They're
Yeah.
using a pulley system to see how it works.
Yeah.
And then they have this big merry-go-round that all the kids can like get in and sit and spin around. But the coolest part is this big, like geodome-esque climbing structure where they climb up high and it juts out over the parking lot, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Your
It was,
your face.
we had a big conversation as we were standing there watching our kids about how I don't love heights and
Yeah.
I can physically feel it in my body when my kid is doing something like that.
But
So
they
that's
had
the
a
face I'm making.
blast.
They had a blast. It's almost like a kids ropes course. Like it's not like they're in like enclosed with plastic or wood. It's like canvas nets that they
Yeah,
were kind of moving through and climbing through. It's really, really cool.
it is really
And
cool.
they were also brave. I'm just impressed with our kids in general. We were chuckling when our 3 kids did the seat that they pulleyed up. Your daughter was the first one. She just hopped on the seat, pulleyed herself up, came down. My son hopped in, pulleyed himself up, came down. Your son got in and he put on the seatbelt.
Yes, he
He's
did.
the only one who put on the seatbelt. I was real proud of your son. I was like, I am feeling that same energy. Please put on the seatbelt.
He is my cautious kid in so many regards, and in other regards, he has no sense of self-preservation whatsoever. It's like, buddy, like,
Kids.
he won't ride a roller coaster to save his life, but he definitely face planted into some rocks and split his head wide open.
Kids like to keep you guessing. Like just
I
when you
guess.
think you'd get the vibe, they're going to change it
Yeah.
on you.
No, he was adamant, "We're not doing this until I am seatbelted." So,
Yeah.
everything felt very safe.
Oh, yes.
And
They didn't need to be seatbelted into it.
yes, because
I
it's
mean,
not like you're
maybe
going
a
up super high.
no, and I think it was cushioned
Yeah.
ground. I mean, maybe a little. Like if I had a
Sure.
2-year-old, I would probably strap them in.
I mean, I feel like if you have a kid who can't pulley themselves up, that's probably your sign that you need to strap them in, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But the child that I was would have really appreciated your son's attention to safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sometimes he gets it.
we had a good laugh about that. And there was also an herb garden out there. It was not
Yeah.
thriving because
It
it was
was not.
January. But it was nice to know it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then we went back in and went to the bee area where they have all these cool things about bees. The kids could see an actual beehive. They had life-size beehives that the kids climbed up in, which was really fun. And they got, I think, wasn't there a panel where they could listen to sounds, different bee
Yes.
sounds?
And there was a magnetic thing where they could
Mm,
move different parts of the pollination or bees life
yeah.
cycle around. And yeah, it
Yeah.
was really cool and very interactive.
And then, because we had just had the conversation about Kat's dislike of heights, the rest of us were like, let's climb up into the observatory.
Round and round the stairs we went,
Yep, up to the top.
where it is open air and there's
It
a
is.
telescope and it's a little tight up there. And my son put his feet up on the edge of the barrier and I was like, I have to go stand in the corner by the door now. I'll be over here when we're ready to go down. Everybody ready to go down.
Kat is leading the charge. I'm leaving this area. But it was cool to kind of see. I enjoy being able to like see from above, and the kids enjoyed it. So it was cute.
And you're
It was
right in
really-
downtown Chattanooga. So
Yeah,
you'll see
yeah.
all kinds of cool things. Yeah. It's worth climbing up even if you don't love the heights.
And then there's this whole other wing of the museum. The pigs. I forgot about the flying pigs in the
Yeah.
rotunda area.
Yes.
Yes, that was really cool.
was
They
cool.
had different controls. They were color coded like the cars. And they were suspended in the ceiling. You could make them fly with their wings. You
Yes.
could make their snouts move with the controls. That was really cute.
That was cool. When Pigs Fly, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then back in the rest of that area is like the arts
Yeah.
section of the Creative Discovery Museum. And so, yeah, there's the theater where kids could like dress up. There was like
Mhm.
both a theater for kids to dress up and be in the theater and then also puppets,
Mm-hmm.
which none of our kids did. It was that was the one area that was kind of crowded the day we
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah.
But there was like a dance room where
Yeah. The dance room was really cool.
it's really cool where there's like a big screen on the wall. So the person in front of you is like your size,
Yep.
showing you how to do different dance moves. And it was like different cultural dances, ballet, tap, like all different kinds of dance. And your daughter was super into that.
Super into it because it's the whole wall is this screen. So it's very, you feel like it's right there. This person is right there in front of you. So that was really, my daughter was super engaged in that. And right next to that is their exhibit that changes based on the theme. They have different themes. And so the theme when we went was Guatemala, all about Guatemala. So they had different fabrics. They had a whole kitchen stocked with, the fake food like you might find in Guatemala. And my husband and I had taken a mission trip to Guatemala in 2022. And then some of our friends are now missionaries in Guatemala. And so Guatemala is something that we talk about a lot in our house. And
Yeah.
it's very near and dear to our heart. And so it was really cool to see they had instruments and a little video playing. And my kids set up this whole table in the kitchen and brought us in to show us how they
Yeah.
set up the table. It was really cute.
It was cute. And there was a couple of like really simple crafts in that area too.
Mhm.
You could make flowers out of tissue paper and pipe cleaners. And then there was a whole section of that exhibit that was talking about the flags in Guatemala. And there was
Mhm.
a flag craft too. There was just like a lot of really cool interactive, again, opportunities in there. And then there was also in that same part of the museum, a lot of different instrument rooms.
Yes.
So there was
Yes.
a whole room on Appalachia in general, but it had lots of Appalachian instruments in it, like a banjo and a
Yes.
guitar that the kids could pick up. And it looked like just like a foam shape of a guitar,
Mhm.
but then there was a screen that would then make it look like they were playing it and sound like they were playing it. And then there was just information about like Appalachia in general. And then there was a drum room.
Yep. And they had like a xylophone and all different types of drums. Just really cool.
Really cool. So we were standing near the xylophone,
Oh, yeah.
and this young man, probably, I don't know, what do you think, 15?
Yeah.
Roughly,
14, 15. Yeah.
just walks up to the xylophone and started playing. It was something recognizable, like a
Yeah.
classical, I can't remember now what it was, but a very recognizable classical piece of
Yeah.
music. And he just walked up and started doing it. I mean, at first he was feeling it out for a minute. I don't think that this young man plays the xylophone. I think he's
Right.
just musically talented to the point where he could walk up to a xylophone and plunk a couple things on it for a minute and then figure it out and start playing. And you and I stood and just kind of in awe watched
Mhm.
him. We whispered to each other, I bet he's homeschooled.
Yep. In the best way. We meant
And
that in the very best way possible.
yes, this is the brilliance of homeschooling, is that when you have a kid who can do things like that, you get to just lean into it and let
Yep.
them pour themselves into those things that they love and that they're good at. And then they just do it anywhere because they're so confident and passionate about it. And so when he finished, we both started clapping and we were like, that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was a little bit awkward because we're two grown women telling a 15-year-old boy, like shouting at him.
But
But
it was cool.
it was really cool.
It was cool to see. And that whole area up there, you were right, that is definitely like the artsy area, and so my daughter definitely enjoys that area the most. And one of the last times we were there, the theater room was not crowded, and so her and her little friend that we went with, they both got in costume, and there's like a little stage with a little curtain so they can, do their little pretend plays and stuff. There's just so much. The beauty of it is, so we did all that. We walked through all the places, and then it was like, well, where do we want to go back to?
Yeah, there's
Which
time.
was the water table.
The water table. My son would have really liked to do the theater, and he has asked
Mm.
if we can go back, because
Yeah.
he can be a little bit of a ham sometimes. So,
No.
yeah, I know. I know, shocking.
I love it.
But, yeah, they definitely wanted to go back to the water and to that
Yeah.
play area that's above the water.
Yes.
They had a really good time playing in there, and there's also a little kitchen area in that, and
Mhm.
I think that they got kind of inspired in the Guatemalan kitchen, and so then
Yeah.
they were still kind of continuing that kind of play. But we hung out at the water, the second round of the water, for probably like 30 minutes.
Yeah, because there's a lot to do down there. There's
Yes.
multiple stations of things that you can do. So you can go back to any of the rooms over and over again. Like I said before, you're not just there for like a 2-hour time slot. You can do whatever you want. And they have a little cafe in the front so that you can get food if you want to get food and sit. But they also have some picnic tables and stuff outside of it. So if you wanted to bring your lunch and do that, you could. And there's some places for like moms to sit and watch,
Yes.
which is nice because, you want to be aware and, be near your kid, but you also don't want to hover.
Yeah.
You want to give them the space to kind of explore and do. And so I feel like they've done a really good job with the flow of the facility of making sure that that's possible.
Yeah. Especially like you want to be available in case they need help, but you don't want to like over direct. And so yeah, it is really thoughtfully designed for that.
Yeah.
And we mentioned a couple times that there's classrooms and things.
Yeah.
And so there is a homeschool program, which we didn't participate in, but just so that you can go on their website, and it's cdmfund.org/homeschool. And they have separate programs for a K through second group, a third through fifth group, and then a sixth through eighth group. And they're 5-week sessions. They are drop-off sessions. They are capped at 20 students, and they're on Wednesday afternoons, at least as of the time of this recording. And there's just all of the things we just talked about, like hands-on, both some like exposure to science, exposure to arts, all in one for these different homeschool programs that they have. And it looks like they usually have different themes. So,
Ooh.
yeah, pretty cool stuff. So, definitely worth looking into. And of course, like most museums or zoos, there's a membership. And then, so there's a member
Yeah.
rate for the classes and then a non member rate for the classes. So, definitely worth checking out because
Yeah.
it's such a cool space. Creative Discovery Museums, well, I don't know if they're all called Creative Discovery Museums, but like they're a really fascinating organization. I worked at one in college in a small town, and like the philosophy behind them is really cool because they're all about just exposing kids to real world concepts, but in these play-based ways. And it was really fun for me. I haven't been to one since the one I worked at way back 20 years ago. I hadn't been to one with my kid, and so that was really fun
Mhm.
to get to go
Yeah.
experience. It's just like I think anywhere that you are, if there's a creative discovery museum or children's discovery museum, they're sometimes called, it is worth going and checking them out because
Yeah.
they're really cool. But this one in Chattanooga is top
So
notch.
well done.
Yeah.
So well done. And the beautiful thing was we spent the morning there. We took our lunches to the zoo and ate our lunches on the picnic tables out in front of the zoo, and then we went and did the zoo in the afternoon because it had warmed up a little bit by
Yep.
then. And that's Chattanooga is so well laid out for stuff like that because you've got the zoo, you've got the aquarium, you've got the Creative Discovery Museum all in this like little pocket.
Yeah.
And it makes it very easy to make it worthwhile. We've said before we're roughly an hour from Chattanooga. And I really think, honestly, even up to an hour and a half to 2 hours, you could make a day of it and make it worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend who lives 2.5 hours away in Alabama, and we frequently meet in Chattanooga
Yeah,
because it's not a bad drive for her, and there's so much to do, and
yeah,
everything in Chattanooga that there is to do is really well done. There's also really great parks
yeah.
and places along the river, and there's great places to go eat. It's a really lovely city to go to, but I love having access to it as a homeschooler.
Well, and especially knowing that now we can bring our DOI and that's one less ticket we have to pay for.
Yep.
And, we were just talking with a sweet lady from the Georgia Aquarium, and she said, we recognize that living is expensive right now, and it is, and especially, we've said it before, a lot of homeschool families are one-income families or one income and mom's hustling on the side, and so we want to do all of these things, but sometimes things can be cost prohibitive,
Yeah.
and so I think that's so lovely. Also, there's affiliated somehow with the WIC and the SNAP program, so if you have those things, you either can get in for free or extremely, extremely discounted, so always be looking for those ways that you can, take advantage of discounts that are available.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, our philosophy, and obviously we didn't do it ahead of us going to the Creative Discovery Museum,
Right.
but we always encourage, like, just call and ask, like, do you
Yeah.
have anything for homeschool families? Do you have any discounts, or do you recognize homeschool parents as educators? Just call and ask those questions, because the worst thing that you're going to find out is no, and then you're still paying the price you thought you were going to pay.
Right.
But the good news is that you could find out that you can get in for free. So there you go. Always
Yeah.
call and ask. Kayla, do you have a win from the Creative Discovery Museum in Chattanooga?
I think the win was probably, 1, finding out that we can show the DOI. That was a huge win. But also, every other time we've been there, I have felt rushed, not by
Mm.
them, but just by our circumstances or whoever we were with. And this was the most low key, most lovely time just exploring it and getting to see it through y'all's fresh eyes,
Yeah.
because this was your first time, was really lovely. So it was a great time.
Was this your first time going during the week, not during like a break week where lots and lots of people are there? Was this your first time going on a Tuesday morning like we did?
No, I think it was our second time. I know for a fact the time we went before that, we went when schools were out, and so that's why it was a little more crowded. Um, I wanna say this was our third time going, and I wanna say our first time was a little more chill, but we didn't go with friends, and, like,
Yeah,
there's just something extra special, I think, about going with friends.
there is for sure. Yeah, it was a sweet time.
So,
It was a great morning. And
yeah,
yeah, those were definitely wins
yeah.
for us too.
Well, Kat, where can they find you when you're not exploring all the cool creative discovery museums?
I'm at Recreating Camp on both Instagram and Facebook. And Kayla, when you're not in Chattanooga, where can the people find you?
I am at Scratch Made Simple _ on Instagram and at Scratch Made Simple on TikTok. And we, of course, are at Homeschooling Down South on all of the socials. And if you have a really cool place in your area that you think we should check out or that you want to tell us about, email us at hello@homeschoolingdownsouth.com.
I'm going to actually put out a specific plug. If you are listening in the Greenville, South Carolina area, We know there is a fantastic Discovery Museum there that neither of us has been to. And if you, as a homeschooler, go to that museum and know about it, would you email us at hello@homeschoolingdownsouth.com? And if you liked this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. We would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you been to the Creative Discovery Museum or another Discovery Museum? Would you please comment in the comments for us and share this episode with a friend? And we will see y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.
And we'll love together, we'll learn together, explore this whole wide world together. No matter where we are, I have you, you have me, and today that's all.